this video. Today's going to be a really short practice, either just as a warm-up for a longer class you may be taking, or maybe just as a short practice to wake you up and start your day. We shouldn't need any props for this class unless you want a blanket for your knees or for the Shavasana at the end. So let's get on the mat. Okay, so we're going to start in child's pose. So if you want to come onto your mat and bring yourself down onto your shins, and maybe let's take the knees nice and wide just so we get a little space to open up into the hips. And then allow your torso to come down towards the floor. We're just going to breathe here for about 5 cycles of breath. So breathing in to your lower back as you inhale, breathing out. And maybe feeling like you're breathing into the belly, and exhale. So just taking 3 more breaths here, using this as a way to just begin your practice, to start your day. Okay, so let's slowly make our way up onto our hands and our knees from here. So from your child's pose, bring your hands onto the floor. If you want to put something underneath your knees for a little bit of extra padding, then feel free to do so. I'm just going to go straight into some cat-cows here. So as you breathe in, lift your tailbone, lift your heart space. And then as you breathe out, round through the back, draw that tailbone under. And again, inhale, heart space lifts. And exhale, we round. One more, inhale. And exhale. And then coming back to center, you're going to tuck your toes underneath. And then just start to shift the weight back and forward. So with the toes tucked underneath, as we kind of rock forwards and back, we get a little bit of a stretch down through the bottoms of the feet, down through the toes and in the ankles. And then as we're shifting the weight forward, we're just starting to bring some weight into the hands, into the wrists, ready for our downward dogs. Okay, and then let's start to take this into more of a circle. So rather than just forwards and backwards, we're just kind of drawing a circular shape and then go in the opposite direction. Great. And then coming back to center, either sit back onto your heels in this toe stretch or bring the tops of the feet onto the floor. Just bring your hands together and just give the wrists a little figure of 8 movement going in both directions, and then give the hands a little shake. And we're going to come up into our first downward dog from here. So let's bring the palms onto the floor, fingers nice and wide, tuck your toes under, but from here let's lift those hips and come up into our first downward facing dog. And we're just going to walk on the spot here, so just bending one knee, bending the other knee, just starting to wake up the body. And once you've done that a couple of times, just start to engage a little bit more through the arms. Maybe you want to give the head a shake. Okay, and then we'll do 5 kind of lifts with the heels. So as you breathe in, lift the heels, find the toes, and breathe out, press them back down. And again, breathe in to lift, and out. 3 more, up, and down, up, and down. Last one, up, and down. Okay, so from here, stepping forward with the right foot, bring your left knee down towards the mat. Again, you can place a blanket or a cushion underneath that knee. Finding your fingertips, take an inhale, send the heart space forward, let the hips shift a little bit closer towards the mat. And then as you breathe out, you're going to send the weight back and try and lengthen, maybe bringing the toes of that front foot away from the floor. Do not worry if this leg doesn't go completely straight through this movement. Okay, so as we breathe in, we shift the weight forward, and as we breathe out, we send the weight back. And again, inhale, forward, exhale, back. Last one, inhale, forward, and exhale, back. Let's hold here for a few breaths. You can always walk your hands in a little bit closer, rest them on the shin, or you can even come up here and bring the hands onto the hips. either flexing the foot or let that foot be a little bit more relaxed. Okay, so let's shift that weight forward. This time we're going to lift that back knee away from the floor. So tuck those back toes under, lift that back knee, and then bring your right hand to the back of your head. Take a breath in and open the chest, lift the elbow up, and as we breathe out, we come back to center. Inhale, we twist and open. Exhale, center. 2 more. Inhale, twist. Exhale. Last one, inhale. And exhale, bring your right hand back down and then step gently back into your downward dog. I'm just going to do that on the second side. So whenever you're ready, step your left foot forward, bring your back right knee down. You can always rearrange your legs once you get here. Find those fingertips. Inhale, allow your pelvis to soften towards the mat. And then exhale, we send that weight back. You don't have to flex that front foot, but it will give you a little bit more stretch down through the back of the leg. So inhale, weight goes forward, and exhale, weight goes back. So as always, this is where it's useful in this movement to have your back knee just resting on either, like me, I've got 2 mats on top of each other here, or you could put a cushion underneath it. It's nothing worse than feeling pressure in the kneecap. Okay, last one, we send the weight back. We're just going to pause here for a few breaths with that front leg lengthening. And then shifting that weight forward, planting the palms, tuck the back toes underneath, and lift that back knee away from the floor. Bring your left hand behind your head. Take a deep breath in and open the chest. And exhale, we come back to the starting position. Inhale, we open. Exhale, close. 2 more. Inhale, open. Exhale, close. Last one, inhale, open. And exhale, close. Again, let's step back into downward dog. Just end your left leg to the back of the mat. Okay, so we're going to just briefly come back down into a tabletop position. So bring those knees down. And just using this as a transition to get into our malasana. So tuck your toes, widen the legs a little bit, and then start to make your way back as if you're coming into that toe stretch, but then shift the weight onto the legs. And you might find that you end up in this position where the heels don't make contact with the floor, or you might be able to sit your hips down a little bit further. Feel free to make any adjustments with those feet in terms of how far apart the legs are and the orientation. So your feet might be pointing forward, they might be pointing out a little bit. And we're just going to hold here for a few breaths. You can totally have the hands on the floor, or you might even bring the hands to the heart space and just breathe here. And Malasana is a really great place, this deep squat position, to try and find at least once a day. So often we're sat in a chair where our thighs are just coming straight out from our pelvis and we don't come into this kind of full range of movement. Okay, so from here we're going to walk forward into a plank position. So bring the hands back down to the mat and then start to walk them forward. Find yourself in your high plank, just holding here for 3 breaths. Separate the shoulder blades, drive back through the heels. Draw your belly button gently in towards the spine. Okay, and then let's bring our knees down and just softly bend. The elbows come down onto the mat. We're going to come into a Sphinx pose. So if you slide your elbows forward, so we're finding the forearms. Elbows might be slightly in front of the shoulders, or they could be even further forward to take you into an even gentler version of this. I'm just going to have a little movement in the shoulders here. So the movement comes from the shoulders being elevated up towards the ears. So we kind of sink down, kind of always in a collapsed position, and then press the floor away and depress the shoulders away from your ears. So you're going to take about 10 of these. So often in yoga, maybe we're given the cue to move the shoulders down and away from the ears, which has its place in certain postures, but we don't want to be trying to do it all the time. Our shoulders need to be able to move up towards the ears. They have that function. So yeah, we just want to make sure that we're always allowing our body to go through the motions that it's designed to do. Otherwise, that's where we build up tension. Okay, last couple. Okay, great. And then we'll come up into a slightly higher position here for our lower back. So what option one is, you could leave the elbows where they are. Sorry, not leave the elbows where they are, but leave the hands where they are. And then straighten your elbows and come into this, almost like a seal pose. If you do want to go a little bit deeper, you can slide the hands backwards and come up into kind of like a high cobra position. And wherever you are, you might find that you can make a little movement side to side, or it might just be the head that looks over one shoulder and the other. Great. And then coming all the way back down to the floor. Tuck your toes underneath. We're making our way back into downward dog. So either press back up onto your knees, or you could come back up into your full plank position and then shift those hips back and behind and find your downward facing dog. Take a deep breath in and take a deep breath out. So we'll come through to seated from here. So bring your knees down to the floor and then just swing yourself around. I'm going to face towards you, but you can still face towards the top of the mat. And we're going to come straight into this Baddha Konasana, this kind of butterfly shape. So bring the soles of your feet together. You can totally sit up on a cushion. So if you feel like your body is kind of falling back, just elevate your hips slightly. And we're going to go back to that circle feeling. So I'm just kind of moving the torso around, just to mobilize into the hips. Now you might find that there's some clicking in the pelvis. I know mine clicks a lot here. As long as it's not painful, it's usually okay. Our bodies do tend to click quite a bit. Okay, and then go in the opposite direction. So you see I'm really using my arms here to help move the torso, move the body. So don't be afraid to kind of shift the weight. Okay, and then gently coming back to center. We'll keep the Baddha Konasana shape with the feet, but maybe press the soles of the feet together so we get a little bit more activation through the legs. Sweeping those arms up and overhead as we breathe in. And then as we breathe out, the right hand's gonna find the floor. We take a little side bend here. So don't lose this sense of length just to kind of collapse. So maybe that right hand wants to take a nice longer reach, maybe you're on the fingertips, but this top arm, this left arm is really reaching up and over. So we really wanna find that space down the left side. Good, and then as we inhale, press the feet together, bring the body up, and then exhale, left hand finds the floor. We just take that side bend in the other direction. Good, take a deep breath in, and a deep breath out, and come all the way back up. We'll take a twist this time, so arms outstretched, and then twisting to the right. So you might have your left hand on your feet, you might find the shin calf. The knee probably feels like it's quite far away, particularly in this Baddha Konasana shape. So I just encourage you to find a useful position, not just choosing something that's kind of the furthest around. And again, finding that length and that space. So just kind of rotating the rib cage to the right. Great. And then inhale back through center, expand through the arms, and exhale, twist to the left. Same options here with the hands. Just somewhere that's useful for you, that feels supportive. Great, and then coming back to center. Okay, so we're just going to organize our legs. One's going to stay in this kind of external rotation, and one's going to come into internal rotation. I'm just going to turn around to show you that. So I'm just going to turn around here. So I'm going to leave my right leg kind of where it is, and then with my left leg, I'm just going to tuck it behind and come into this kind of like a zigzag position. And if this leg ends up being off the mat, then totally fine. You can always make a little adjustment in terms of where this foot is. We're going to be moving anyway, so we're not kind of set in stone. So lean back a little bit, make sure you've got space for your hands. And all we're going to do is just shift the legs to the other side and then find ourselves sat upright a little bit. So the hands go back, the legs shift, and then we sit nice and tall. So hopefully you shouldn't move too much in this position. We're just pivoting on the heels as we shift side to side. And if you want to take this one step further, you're going to do exactly the same movement. You're just going to bring the hands in front of you here, and you're not going to use the hands as support behind. So it becomes a little bit more difficult because your thighs are then a lot closer towards your chest, basically. Okay, last one. Great. And then just coming back to center, we're going to come down onto our backs. So just face whatever direction you would like. Come down onto your back and bring your knees with you, bring them into your chest. Give them a nice big squeeze, a little sway side to side. Okay, and then we're going to extend the arms and the legs up towards the ceiling and just flexing and pointing with the hands and the feet. And then let's go in circles with the hands and the feet, and then the opposite direction. Okay, and then what we're going to do is I'm going to count down from 10, and I want you to shake your arms and your legs as kind of loosely but as quickly as you can for that time, and then we'll take a kind of quick Shavasana. So try not to grip any tension here, try and let the joints be nice and soft. So let's go for 10, 9, 8, 7, that's quite hard to do and count at the same time, 6, 5, 4, so be quite vigorous, 3, 2, and 1. Great, and then bring the hands and the feet down towards the floor. Just take a moment. If you were shaking vigorously enough, you might feel a little tingling through the body. And then we'll take just a brief Shavasana, so maybe lengthen your legs. Let's maybe bring the hands onto the body, onto the abdomen. And just closing those eyes, taking maybe just 10 or so breaths here. Maybe you can feel your abdomen rise and fall into those palms here. Okay, and then start to wriggle your toes and your fingers. Maybe take a big stretch. And then just slowly bring yourself back to seated. So just take your time, bring yourself up. And then just take a little moment here in the seated position, maybe with the eyes closed. Hopefully allowing this practice to just kind of take you into your day. Okay, and then take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. Great, and then just opening your eyes. Okay, sorry, my dog decided to join in just as I was lying down on the floor. If you have any questions or comments about this practice, then feel free to comment below. You can use this class just as a wake-up flow, or maybe just as a little warm-up for any other longer practice you may be taking. Yeah, so thanks for joining me and have a good day.